Hello there. It's been a little while since I've been on stream. Let's fix this screen. We got an exciting new development here in the AI world for 3D artists. So, coming back to this, we had left off these streams where I was going to come back and I was going to do a bit more commercial work moving forward for the rest of the year, as previously we've been seeing a lot of Blender, a lot of creative work, a lot of AI experimentation using 3D tools, and there'll still be some of that, but I'm focusing a lot more on more accessible knowledge, let's say, that professionals can use. So with that, not what I intended, but I came across this tool this week and I thought I'd introduce it. It's called 3DFY. It's in beta. And it's this service where you can essentially put in a prompt and you get a 3D model. And unlike previous sort of more primitive iterations of a service like this, where you get like a point cloud, or you get like sort of not really a mesh you could use, not a mesh that's production ready. So I'll show you some of the results that I got here. So the prompt for this one was a table which is cracked marble boulder with gold veins. So this is something I got inspired from a furniture newsletter that I get. They use a lot of like organic materials combined with metals and such. And this is not at all what I was going for. And what this really showed me was it's kind of following, I'm getting the word in Spanish, un patrón. It's following a format. It's following a structure, a very specific structure. So a table, for example, wouldn't just be an abstract object. It would have legs, it would have reinforcement, and it would have a tabletop. So it's very much tailored for like more mainstream products or mainstream ideas. So getting something very specific, designer-wise or bespoke, isn't something that this quite offers yet. But the interesting thing is it offers 3 different formats to download, which are pretty universal, except for Blender, which is specifically to Blender. But as we've seen, Blender has the Blender file format is very much integrated with online 3D platforms, like a lot of these services, such as the very popular content library. Spacing out on the name right now. Anyway, yeah, 3Blend files are just generally friendly for online platforms. Then you get a level of detail that you can download and a texture resolution. So if you're going to be doing close-up shots, getting a 2K or 4K textured version of this furniture piece is going to be really useful. And if it's just a prop, if it's just something to populate an area and you can't really find a content library that has what you need, you can go for a lower resolution texture. What I find is that this same company actually has a giant library of assets, and they offer other services as well around 3D modeling, specifically for furniture. I think some gaming assets as well. So it's interesting. It's probably taken that they've refined some sort of prompt to 3D model on top of their 3D model library, which is very interesting. And so you get a textured view, you get a wireframe view, you get a UV preview. So this is really neat feature, which is the UV mapping. So if you're not too familiar with UV mapping, the fact that all these squares are perfect squares means I could replace this texture with another texture and it's not going to be distorted. It should be mapped correctly onto the surface. Now, obviously we see some weirdness. Like if I get to this edge over here, we see that this tile is actually getting split up. So when I go into the texture view, it's working out for this particular texture that's mapped onto it, but the same can't necessarily be said about the texture that you might want to apply to it. So there may be some UV mapping tweaking that you may need to do, but this is pretty decent out of the box, right? And then we have our regular solid view, so you can just get a good look at the volumetrics. Another thing, yeah, so specific things such as mid-century lamp made black and gold metal that resembles the Pixar lamp. So I thought the Pixar lamp would be pretty straightforward. It's just what came to mind as I was writing the prompt. But it didn't actually pick that up. You can't, it's not like ChatGPT or Midjourney where you can be sort of, you can't reference culture, I suppose, or you can't reference companies and brands. You kind of have to learn its own language and use the technical terminology for furniture or products. The last one I did is a sofa. So what I can tell about the sofa too is the AI is probably only creating one of these iterations. as in like generating this sort of format. And then there has to be something that's a little bit more constrained that just arrays it in order to create a sofa, right? So it's not actually creating each one of these cushions or each one of these seats. It does it once as a module, and there's probably like another tool, another instruction to the algorithm that picks that up and arrays it in a format like this, and either gives it a base or arrays it onto the base that has been created. So let's get right into it on how this service exactly works. I bought some credits for the purpose of today. So since it isn't beta, if you get into the beta, I think you believe you get 10 credits. And then if you pay $5, you get 10 more credits and you're able to download one model. I think the pricing is fairly reasonable depending on how good, how appropriate this is for your use case. For me, I used to do a lot more standard commercial work like this, let's say. Recently, it's been a lot more bespoke. So I could see myself using this more for props or creating certain interiors environments when I can't find the right furniture piece. I may give this a shot, try a bunch of prompts, and maybe I get something that's closer to what I need versus taking something that's already existing or creating something from scratch, building something from the prompt. But typically what I do is I'm pretty efficient to work from a reference image or even take an AI image from Midjourney or something and trace that in 3D to create a bespoke piece. I've covered that extensively on this channel, kind of tracing over AI images to create bespoke pieces. But this is, just another tool to the arsenal. It's nice to have a whole bunch of credits to try different prompts. I'd like to have more downloads, but I get it. They need to make money, especially, I think this launched like a week ago, not even 2 weeks ago. So we'll get right into it. Let's check out an example. Hey, EM, see you there in the chat. Thanks for dropping a hi. So yeah, let's generate a new item. So we'll go over here. And as you can see, right now we only have really 2 sections, one for interiors, which deals with furniture and props, such as cutlery. And then we have another section for gaming, specifically swords and shields. Like axes will be coming soon. I imagine guns will follow shortly after, or vehicles would be interesting. Vehicles would be very interesting if you're watching 3DFY, if you could figure that one out. So yeah, available operations, generate. So generating, saving, and downloading. You can generate something, you can save it as I have here on the right, and then you can download it. There's not as much freedom or as many like refinement tools as we see in other AI tools where you could kind of get an output, you can ask for it to be refined, or there's certain parameters that you can tweak. It's pretty limited, or it's pretty straightforward, which is why I think this is more tailored to a very wide audience in terms of like it's very commercial, it's very standard, it's a good platform to start launching your product off of. So yeah, function above form. We generate functional 3D models rather than artistic ones. Please make sure your text prompts are descriptive and well structured as in the examples above. The examples being not here. But yeah, ottomans, lamps, tables, sofas, swords, shields, and cutlery. So I'd be interested in, and please, if you're watching and would like to put in a suggestion into the chat, go ahead and do so. We've got 17 credits to burn up in this live stream, so we can put up to 17 prompts. Why don't we try one of each, right? So if you go to table lamps, an hourglass shaped table lamp, a lamp with a ball finial, shallow drum and shade vase-like body, a bedside lamp with a classic empire shape shade. I don't know what that means, but let's try the hourglass shaped lamp. So, oh, we've got a seed, so that's interesting. So I'll tell you what, I'm gonna add in something that's been a theme for me recently. It's been like a futuristic, gotta get my keyboard working. Here we go. Futuristic, mid-century, hourglass shaped table lamp. And I'd be interested to keep the same seed throughout different pieces. So let's refresh this. I want to get a number. Yeah, that's a good number. I'm going to write this down on a sticky or a digital sticky so that I can continue to use that seed in other pieces. And let's see if pieces across, table lamp, sofas, Ottoman's cutlery, if all that stuff kind of follows in a specific style, if I can use the same seed for all the different pieces. So we'll check that out. Keep that up here somewhere. All right. So we can hit generate. And as I've seen, it can take a little bit of time as compared to other tools that we've seen. I mean, it is generating a 3D model. So it's pretty reasonable to kind of wait like a minute or two to get a whole 3D model. And the reason why I went ahead and paid for some credits for this section is because I do want to bring in one of these into Blender. I have just discovered this tool, I think a day or two ago, so I haven't quite gotten to mess with it. I saw that you can download blend files, so I found that really interesting. So let's see. And this downtime is always good to put in questions into the chat or suggestions into the chat. I'd love to take your suggestions. I suppose I'll also take this time to mention that in the past I have been doing, I mean, I did mention this already, that I've been doing a lot of Blender, a lot of AI stuff. And in an effort to do more accessible content, let's say, for things that I've been doing on my channels, and I mean my social media channels, my visual mode page in the past, I was big into Rhino and Grasshopper. I've kind of parked that aside for a while, even though I used that for, I think, somewhere in the ballpark of like 8 years. And I've been thinking of bringing that in to the live streams again a little bit, not so much in a tutorial fashion, but more so in preparation for what Rhino 8 is bringing. So right now we're on Rhino 7. Rhino, or McNeil, the company that develops the software for Rhino, has announced or has been showing some of the features in Rhino 8. So as I've been wanting to do a lot of more Blender because I've just fallen in love with that software as a creative tool, I can't deny some of the things coming in Rhino 8 are pretty dang useful when it comes to drafting, when it comes to product design, when it comes to industrial design. You're now able to model and have drawings, have schematic drawings and dimensions and call out and things like that update as you develop your model. So they seem to have worked out a pretty nice way to be able to create those sort of drawings, technical drawings off of a 3D model. So I'd like to start exploring that a little bit within the streams. And anyway, as I started using Blender, my workflow has been bouncing back and forth between Blender and Rhino. I just find that to be a good combo. So yeah, announcement is over. Since we got our lamp, we could maybe do an announcement or a little side topic as we wait for each one of these pieces. So shape is an hourglass, yes. Futuristic mid-century, somewhat mid-century, not futuristic at all. No, not at all. Sort of mid-century. And I do like how it seems like it gets, I tried this with a lamp before, it puts in your wires and your bulb and everything. So again, I think right now maybe it's very much based on their current library, which could be very standard and very basic. But again, all these AI tools, as I've been mentioning in this channel, I've been mentioning in these streams, they're jumping off points. You're not going to get a final product out of an AI, at least not yet, right? It saves you time, absolutely saves you time, helps you filter out a lot of bad ideas. I did notice this about cylindrical shapes. The UV mapping tends to stretch just a little bit. We see like a weird seam here. If I go back to the texture is, well, it's previewing low resolution. Doesn't mean that's what you'll get when you download it. But the textures do a pretty good job at being seamless despite, you know, the not so ideal, almost perfect UV mapping. But pretty neat. Yeah. All right, let's try a new one. We'll save all of them. Save and download? No, I would just like to save. How do I just save? Oh, right here on the top right. And just hit save. Cool. And it's available for 72 hours right here in your models. It's saved there in case you want to save it a day or two later after trying a whole bunch of stuff. All right, let's move on to a sofa. A sofa with 3 loose back cushions. The sofa has a big rolled armrest. So what should we do here for a sofa? Something, okay, we could do, again, we'll ask for a mid-century thing. A mid-century modern instead of futuristic. Mid-century modern take on a slanted couch with an angled base. Back cushions leaning backward. Kind of recalling like something I did early on in the mid-journey life that I made later in Blender. As we wait for one of these, I do kind of like this table a lot. Oops. Oh, so we can continue generating. So that's neat because a lot of times with ChatGPT or other AI tools, I'll like exit the screen or just change the tab or whatever, and then it'll screw up because I moved around or whatever. And it seems like it keeps generating if I want to do other stuff. So let's see if I can hit generate new item. And if I'm not capped to just generating one thing at a time, because in that case, I can just keep creating stuff and have it work in the background, which would be very, very useful. If I can just try a bunch of prompts, like just burn through 10 credits, try different things. If I kind of know my way around the prompts, right? Come back to it, whatever, 5-10 minutes later, and have a bunch of custom options to get through. So, we already have modern mid-century table with metal support struts. So we'll keep the modern mid-century table. And we'll switch it up. What sort of table do I want? Again, if you want to drop in suggestions in the chat, I'll take them. Modern mid-century table. I want some cylindrical goal. Oh, let's do like one giant, not distorted, not a cylinder. What's that other thing called? An oval. One giant oval leg or base. We'll call it a base, not a leg. Modern mid-century table with a giant oval base. We'll do black. One giant gold oval base. Black top piece with edge details. Let's try that out. Oh, we can bring back our seed. It seems like our seed changed. I'm pretty sure it stayed the same when we switched to sofa, but I'll paste in here the same seed I used for the lamp. See if I can get them to be matching. And then we'll do an ottoman. So for the ottoman, I'm gonna copy the prompt I did for the sofa. See if I can get the ottoman to match the sofa. That'd be neat. Whoa, an ottoman resembling an Oreo cream-filled cookie. I thought you said no abstract stuff. An ottoman resembling an Oreo cream-filled cookie seems pretty abstract. A green velvet ottoman with a puffy Chesterfield pattern and buttons. An ottoman resembling a loaf of bread. Okay, so I guess we can have some freedom with ottomans. Let's try something funny with an ottoman. Let's do Oh, we could do an ottoman that resembles an avocado cut in half. Mid-century modern. It's not gonna go with the rest of the set at all. Or maybe it will. I'm using the same seed, so it should. Yeah, I guess, I mean, up until now, I haven't hit the limit of how many things I can generate at once. So let's get some cutlery going. We could do modern, mid-century, fork, spoon, knife. Let's see if I can cheat here. Ask for a teapot or a teacup. And teacup, let's see, some of the prompts or some of the example prompts are a classic golden dining knife with a long and thick handle, a smooth copper fork with a solid white handle, a blue spoon with rivets on the handle. You know what? Let's combine all of these. A modern mid-century spork. Is there something for a spork? Or spoon, fork, and knife all together? Let's just go with a spork. Modern mid-century spork. Let's just cut out the teacup. We'll try to do like ribbed curves, parametric design. I don't know. How deep can we get in on cutlery? Modern mid-century spork, ribbed curves. So those new viewers dropping in, you can put in a suggestion if you'd like into the chat. We'll try that out on one of these categories that you see up here. Ribbed curves, parametric design, or you can go ahead and do an account and follow along with me. It's 10 credits with the beta. Modern mid-century spork, ribbed curves, parametric design. Let's just run that with that seed. Okay, now we need an accompanying sword and shield. But first, let's take a look at the sofa it created for us. My models, there we go. Why can't I see it? Where do I click to see it? Huh, I guess I have to save it in order to see it. All right, save, view. That's kind of weird. Why can't I just see it without saving? What did I ask for? A mid-century modern take on a slanted couch with an angled base, back cushion leaning backward. So the back cushion is leaning backward slightly. Not too many angles. Pretty square actually. And I like the cylinder pillows in the corners, very mid-century. So definitely something to work off of and tweak. Like it didn't fully lean that cushion down on there. I like the base. The base is pretty neat, the legs. I don't like the red color, but that's always editable. Let's check out the UVs on this. That's decent. So yeah, we see that here the tile is wrapping around the side face here pretty neatly until we get over to the side, and then it's not matching anymore over here. So yeah, still pretty decent. I mean, for the fact that I did no modeling work to get to here, but it's also not what I had in mind. And I don't know how much more detail I can give it because it doesn't seem to have that big a creative freedom. Let's take a look at the table. Modern mid-century table with one giant gold oval base, black top piece with edge details. Well, we got a beveled edge, but all the detail that it put into the base is kind of the detail that I was looking for on the edge, and it's not an oval base. So again, it's a really new tool, cutting them some slack. This is not an easy thing to do, I can imagine. And you gotta, I imagine there's like a whole copywriting issue too, where they have to be limited to their own library and can't quite get inspired by what's out there. This table would definitely topple over though. I don't know about definitely, unless like this base is like 3 or 4 times heavier than the top, but you know. And the top is not black, it's also gold. The whole thing is gold. But you know, I can always throw my own material on there. Let's take a look at the ottoman. We asked for resembling an avocado cut in half. It looks like an avocado that's gone bad. It's kind of like leathery. There's some green. I don't even know what you'd call that. I used to know, but it's not coming to mind right now. That's sort of like detailing. It's not really stitching. It's more like where one fabric meets another. Kind of put that in there. I don't know what these buttons are about, but okay. And we just got our cutlery. So let's take a look at that. Let's take a look at all our furniture before we get into our sword and shield. So we got some ribbing here, which I asked for. Ribbed curves, parametric design. That's pretty neat and pretty detailed. If we go to the wireframe, that's a lot of faces. That's a lot of faces and a lot of points. That's not necessary for something like this. UV is okay. Getting a little weirdness here where it gets a little tight. again, this kind of saves you what, like it would have taken me 10, 20 minutes to model this if I was trying to get this, but I was actually trying to get a spork, which is not what I got. I got a spoon. So again, it's amazing that we've reached this point where we can prompt into 3D objects, because I could, like, if I downloaded this, I could 3D print it, right? So I don't need to know how to model. I need to know how to 3D print or how to use a 3D printing software. But with this service, if I wanted a spoon and I had the right material to 3D print it with, and I just want to come up with my own cutlery set through text, I can do that. I don't need to know how to 3D model anymore. I can ask for a fork, I can ask for a spoon. I guess it would cost me $15 to get 10 tries to get the right fork, the right spoon, the right knife, and then be able to download one of each. So it cost me $15 to design that set, and it'd probably take me like 20, 30 minutes, I guess, to get the right thing, to try through all those prompts. And without knowing how to 3D model, I could just get these models and get them 3D printed and refine from there. So again, it's like really kickstarting a lot of design efforts. Cool. So I don't see suggestions in the chat for now. So until I get some, we'll keep going. Let's now finish off with the last two sets. So we got swords and we got shields. So let's really get abstract with this, because if it is for gaming, we want to be able to do some real original designs. So for a sword, I'm going to ask for a glowing wide katana with a black and white handle. Let's go with oversized blade. I'm kind of thinking of, what is it? Kingdom Hearts, like that video game with the giant swords. A glowing wide katana with a black and white handle, oversized blade. Yeah, let's run that. Let's also use the same seed. Whatever. Let's randomize it now. Just click here a bunch of times to refresh. Let's go away from the 8s. Yeah, 44. Sure. Generate. And let's get a shield to go with that. Although I don't think... Who uses katanas? Samurais? Is that right? Or ninjas? Who uses katanas? Samurais. I was right. What is a samurai shield called? Japanese warriors known as samurai wore armor. I don't think they use shields. I'll just do Japanese inspired. So we'll do... Well, some of the example prompts are a kite shield with a yellow checkerboard pattern, a red heater shield with a pointy top and a golden cross. I think this is more like for mobile games. I could imagine, yeah, mobile application is, I think, the best use case for these models, because although some are high poly, you can remesh them, you can re-topologize, like get the face and point count on the models down so they can work for mobile. But generally in mobile, you don't want high detail things. You don't want geometries intersecting with each other. And just given by the prompts that we're getting here, like I can imagine these type of models being ready to use for mobile applications, AR and VR. It's probably like the best use case, because you can't really like get into too much high detail or high resource consuming models for those applications, because the tech isn't quite there. Although Apple also announced their VR headset, which is, everyone's crying about the price tag. It's a pro, it's a part of their pro line. So it's not for the everyday household consumer. It's for people who have been experimenting with AR and VR for years now and want to expand their capabilities into the next generation of tech in that field. So I think for Apple to get this right, and I don't think like Apple will come out with a VR AR headset that's anywhere under $1,500, $2K. But, you know, that's why they're Apple and they do what they do. So this is pretty spot on to what I asked. Let's give this an accompanying shield. So now that we got this, I can kind of bring in this bronze I like the bronze, and I like the black and white handle with the curves. So we'll ask for a circular, or you know what? Let's try the avocado thing again. Why not? An avocado shaped shield made of bronze, white and black curved details. We'll also throw in the word parametric, since that seemed to work pretty well for our spoon or spork or whatever that was. And we'll keep that same seed we had for the sword, so it matches with it. If you would like to vote in the chat box which one of these I download, because I do only have one download credit for today's session, we've got all those options. Let's go to all my things. Where are my things? Get more credits. My models. There we go. So if you want to suggest in the chat what I should download, we had that initial sofa that I had done a couple yesterday apparently. We've got a lamp. We've got that initial table. We've got that hourglass lamp we just made. We've got that mid-century sofa with the less angles that I wanted. We got another table with not an oval base, and the detail's in the wrong place. I'm giving this AI a really hard time. But again, it's really impressive, and I'm just typing and getting models that somewhat fit what I'm asking for. I'm excited to see what this looks like in a few months or a year from now. We got that avocado ottoman, avocado leather ottoman. We've got a not spork spoon with curves. We've got a katana sword that's bronze. Or we could just go for the shield, which is 50% of the way there. So if you'd like to drop it into the chat which one I should be downloading. Otherwise, when the shield is done, I'll just pick myself. And we'll bring that into Blender. By the way, for those that may not be familiar, GLB is, let's look that up. Not a car, GLB 3D format. I'm pretty sure that this format it's been around for a little bit. Stands for GL Transmission Format Binary File. Is a standardized file format used to share 3D data. Precisely, it can contain information about 3D models, scenes, models, lighting, materials, node hierarchy, and animations. So I had read about this a little bit because new platforms or marketplaces for 3D models have started accepting this file type and even like taking away other file types and only restricting to this. I do know that for some 3D website capabilities, this is the ideal file to go to. So I'm pretty sure that on the onset of Web3 and all this development that's happened around NFTs and digital art and all this stuff, this file format came to prominence because it can hold all this type of data, which animations were typically only limited to like FBX files or that sort of thing and can only be opened in other 3D models. Whereas with this file type, those animations are saved in the file and can be previewed on websites or things like that. So it's an interesting file format because it holds all that data very efficiently, where you can load those files through websites, through mobile applications and whatnot pretty quickly and view it, preview it very, very decently as opposed to before. Here's our shield. Okay. I never asked for it to be Japanese inspired, I just realized, to go with the katana. But I don't hate it. It's pretty cool. Oh, we got handles on the other side and everything. So yeah, I would imagine, I mean, the wireframes, look at so many faces. Like this is, if you wanted to build off of this or modify it in any way, you'd have to remesh it, or essentially just in some cases, it may just be better to just trace it. And you never want triangular faces, at least for what I do or what I'm accustomed to do. And I'm pretty impressed that we're getting a bunch of triangular faces and good UV mapping. So that's a curious choice. So since we've got our shield and I don't have any suggestions in the chat on what to download, I'm gonna make the call. And I'm gonna make the call to download. I really like the shield. But I also kind of like this table, even though it's not at all what I had asked for. You know why? I like it because it actually goes with another piece of furniture I've designed in the past. I do also like this, but this is super basic. Like, it would take me 5 minutes to trace this or recreate this from a screenshot. So the ottoman is pretty complex because we got some buttons, we got that little seam, we got our legs. Let's do the avocado ottoman. I don't know. I'm conflicted here. Or the table lamp. I definitely would probably source a lot of this. I can't decide. Ah, Legia, you're in the chat. The shield is cooler. I agree. I didn't want to go for the very last thing I made, but I do really like the shield. Thanks for dropping in. Nice to have you on the stream, Legia. So we'll go ahead and go with the shield. I do like it. Yeah, it's a really cool. It's pretty original, I feel. So let's download it. We'll do a Blender file. We'll do high poly, of course. And I mean, we'll do the 4K texture resolution. Why not? Because I could always dumb it down. And if I only get 1 download credit, ooh. That is, we're preparing within a few minutes. What's that? Well, I'll make the download on the ring of the page. I've got an issue though. I forgot I can't download from Chrome. I gotta download from here. Let's close that. By download. Oh, it's preparing the download. Okay. I guess okay, so we're previewing it in a certain way here. So this wireframe may not even be the high quality that I'm going to get. We've got certain textures here. They're clearly not like incredibly detailed or high resolution. I wish I could make this preview panel bigger. There we go, I guess. It doesn't increase in quality, but it does get bigger. We've got some surface imperfections on it too, which is pretty neat. Like, so the preview that we've had here, yeah, we've got preview quality. So the texture is 1024 pixels, which is like this one, right? So it's half a 2K, not nearly close to 4K. And I imagine high detail is going to have even more faces than what we're seeing here. So I guess that's why there's like an extra step, which is pretty efficient because it gets you something that you can preview, you know, whether you like it or not, whether you want to go for it. And then there's an extra step to reprocess that model and make it suit your needs. I've already got Blender open. So as soon as we've got this processed, we'll be able to use it. Legia has put in the chat, whatever's more useful to me. Well, she says to you, but I changed it to me. But I think the shield just seems to have a lot of nice details. I agree. I'm not necessarily looking for anything right now. I'm just testing this out. The shield is definitely more fun. And I didn't want to go for it just because it was the last thing that I had done. I was kind of like looking over it, all over it again. I have like shiny object syndrome. It's like anything new, anything that distracts me, I like immediately gravitate toward it. So that's why I like try to account for that. But I do agree. The shield is definitely a lot more intriguing than the other elements here. I am getting, even though this doesn't resemble an avocado at all for this ottoman, I do kind of like that leathery circular design. I don't know. It's kind of classy and modern. I do like this table even though it's not at all what I asked for. It's funny how like, I don't know. You ask for something a little bit creative. It's not really artistic or creative. That's not the point of this tool, at least not yet. It's not tailored for that. But even just pushing into those creative prompts, like I do like those outputs better. I'm really upset I didn't get a spork and it gave me a spoon. But you know, that's how it goes sometimes. 99% on the shield. Let's go. We want it. I guess let's prepare someone to save this. If you'd like to drop in a suggestion or a comment, question in the chat, always welcome to that. Let's go over to creating a folder for this little project. Geez, 99%. Let's go. What if I refresh the page? Yeah, it's still at 99%. And it took my credit away. And I still have my 10 credits. So, for context, I'll zoom out or go to my models. I spent $5 to generate all these, and I get to download one. And this probably took, I mean, I've been streaming for what, 40, 45 minutes? And I had created like 3 of these pieces aside. So let's say you can create 10 3D models within the span of an hour and download one. It's not exactly what you need. It could be. It could be, I mean, again, I guess it just depends on your use case. But I could see this being really useful for using as props when you can't find quite the right one. Maybe mobile applications, as the models seem to be, you know, sort of optimized, or the aesthetic of them kind of reminds me of the models that you find in those platforms and those uses. All right, I'm hitting download, and you're keeping my model from me. Generating download. Still. Refresh. We gotta give them a break, guys. They've been in they've had this service up for like a week. Download. Yes, I am ready to download. All right. My models. Download. Well, that's bumming me out. Yeah, it's not working on Chrome or on Edge either. Well, amazing service, 3DFY. Little kinks to work out, but you're in a very interesting track. I'm excited that we're here. I'm excited that we're able to put in prompts and get full 3D models. No longer do we have to get point clouds and then combine different open source things or whatever to put in prompts, get point clouds, convert to a 3D model, then optimize or retrace or redo for our own purposes. I don't know what else to do here. I'm hitting download and I'm not getting my model. You took my money. Give me my model. That's a sad and non-climactic way to end the stream. Not getting the model. Yeah, I guess we'll circle back once we figure this out. This is something I could contact support. We'd love your feedback. I will let you know that I'm not getting my model. So yeah. Also, everyone, the AI community, Web3 community, they typically have a Discord community, which I think is great. And I've run into issues before, like with, wow, only 520 members here. Okay. That's not much. I'm expecting way more. But yeah, like I ran into an issue with, what was it, Adobe Firefly and also Leonardo AI. And I hopped into those Discords and I went to the support channels and I emailed people and they responded within like half a day or like a day. So they're pretty responsive. At least like overall, the people developing these tools, they're on top of it. This is a field that's very competitive and growing really, really quickly. And if you're using these tools and if you're running into any issues, give the company feedback, because it does help improve the product. It does make them aware of what the issues are. And if you just stay quiet and you get frustrated and you quit, the tool doesn't grow as fast. And now we see here, I can save it a bunch of times. So I guess it just took quite a while to process with no message to me whatsoever of what's going on. But now I'm able to download it. So we'll download the file here. That took a while. Okay, it's saved. It's a zip file. So we'll right click, extract all. Cool. And let's see how this comes in formatted. So we've got our Blender file and we've got our texture. So this is neat because I can now take this into Photoshop and I could tweak this however I want and not worry about how it has to be refed into the model. Because if I know that this is the front face and this is the back face, I could add like a logo on here in Photoshop, resave the file, and it'll update in the 3D model. And we've got, this is a roughness map. So we've got a roughness map, we've got a normal map. So it looks like there's nothing here, but there actually is. If I zoom in quite a bit, yeah, you're seeing it there, a little bit of texture. And what is this? Metal. So it's also got a metal channel. I'm hoping all this just comes embedded in the 3D model. We've got a little preview there. So let's drag this into Blender and let's vet this model. Cool. So it actually comes with its own, it doesn't use like the native layout of Blender. It has its own layout, and it opens the Python console for whatever reason. Built-in modules, sure. Already comes textured. Yes, and we have objects separated. So we have the base separated from the handle, separated from the rim, separated from the struts. So I'm learning a lot about shields, a lot of terminology about shields that I didn't know before. And I probably learned a lot of terminology about furniture if I went and downloaded all the other stuff. That's pretty neat. Wireframe. Yeah, so this is pretty, it looks like double the amount of faces, just about. Like the faces look to be half the size as the preview on the webpage. And how does it render? Let's throw in a HDRI from, where's my Blender kit? Let's throw in an HDRI from Blender kit. Let's go to Japan. Oh, and if you've seen me use Blender Kit before, I bought it. I got a subscription now. I've always stuck to the free stuff, and I had a project. I needed something specific. Blender Kit had it. The project paid for it, and you'll be seeing me use a lot more Blender Kit in the future. I guess this is the only Japanese HDRI, which is fine. We'll go with the 2K version. That's downloading. We don't see anything because we have no light, if you were wondering. That's why we're downloading an HDRI. Also, I just went into rendered mode without checking the render settings, which is a big no-no, because you never know, especially in someone else's file, and especially a file made by an AI, you never quite know what settings are set up there. Whoops. And it might just be killing your computer. Yeah, see, exactly. Cycles, CPU. Not ideal. We want GPU. Still nothing. This is taking a minute to download. Leja puts into the chat, now I can go to sleep knowing new shield terminology. I think it's a win. I also think it's a win. When AI creates something for you and teaches you something in the process, that's winning on all fronts. Did I pick the most complex freaking HDRI? Let's drop in a light here in the meantime. Point light. Not bad. Yeah. I think it would need a bit more it's like too perfect looking. That is, it's, I mean, again, the fact that I did no work but type into a box and pay $5, I guess. Whatever $5 takes of work to, whatever amount of work it takes to get $5. We'll activate the denoiser. We'll wait for this dang HDRI. Anyway, if you were wondering, can I use AI to make 3D models? You can. Are they going to be exactly what you want? No. Is it as crazy as a tool like Midjourney but in 3D? No. But it's a giant step forward. Like the whole 3D artist community, you know, concerned with their jobs getting taken away, or I mean, pretty much everyone's concerned. It's like AI taking away their jobs. I don't think our jobs are getting taken away. I think these tools are gonna transform our roles dramatically, as you can see by this example. Anywho, I always find ways to elongate these streams. I'm over here trying to bring in a Japanese environment, but the proof of concept is there. This is amazing that we've made these strides, considering Midjourney came out, what, a year and a half ago, not 2 years ago. And I call out Midjourney just because that was like the first sort of like popular commercialized service of an AI model that really took hold, or really like took people by storm. Cool. So thanks everyone for dropping in to the stream. Love to have you here. This is an exciting one. It's an exciting age for creatives, for everyone really, but us creatives thought we had a bit more time before artificial intelligence and machines could replace us, and we were actually first in line to get attacked. You can basically just synthesize all of our creations into a database, and then you could just ask for what you want. So we'll see. I'm going to stay updated on what goes on with this tool, and I'll probably bring it back up on stream if I see some large developments. In the meantime, if you'd like to subscribe to know what's coming up in future streams, I'm on Tuesdays and Wednesdays at 8 p.m. It's nice to be back after a little break. Thanks for dropping in. Thank you, EM, for dropping into the chat, and for Lydia bringing up the suggestions. I do like that I went with the shield. It'd be cool to do something with it now, make a little piece of content and post it online. But with that, I bid you a good night. Hope everyone stays safe. Stay creating. Stay making. Have a great night, everyone. Catch you on the next stream.